This is an Audio Wool original.
Frightday. I'm your host, Byron, broadcasting live from our little compound out in the woods of Montana, but not entirely from Montana tonight. It's undeniable. Forums, live streams, new media, armchairs, real-time true crime conversation is here. But along with that, online rubbernecking of heinous acts has entered the chat. How far is too far, how deep is too deep, and how dark is too dark? We'll talk about that tonight. Online gambling, racquetball, in school uniforms as we review Pascal Plante, or Plantes. He's French. The film is called Red Rooms. Kelly is off this week, and Sam can't make it because he is sitting cross-legged in a glass box at the moment. But you know what that means. When Kelly's away, the boys are going to play. Jake was back on the show to talk about a film that Kelly would never touch. So excited to talk about that with you, Jacob. Welcome to the show. It's been like a year.
Been a little while. Yeah. I think, Christmas episode maybe? Yeah. For the one with Justin Long?
Yeah, we did the... No, what was that called? That wasn't the Joe Begos Christmas film. That was...
No, that's Christmas, Bloody Christmas.
And that was like 2 years ago. So, what was that? What was that Justin Long weird one? You were there for that? You're the Christmas horror guy? Oh, space froze. Can't believe he's freezing right now. We had a conversation right before the show, but when he decides to come back, we'll talk about his whole life as... Oh, wait, there he is. You're good. Hi.
Hi.
He's
that
back.
Was weird.
That is weird. And that's just part of Frightday being a live show now. So, folks, if you're listening to this, go to live.frightday.com. Follow us on Twitch because when we go live, that's how you will be notified first. You get an email every time we go live. All the shows over on the Audio Wool Network. But, yeah. Jacob, it's a thing. We stream now. Sorry. That's like truly the new thing. That's the big thing that's changed since you've been on the show last time. I am horrified, and you're the first person beyond Kelly to be part of a live stream that isn't a casual Friday live stream. So a lot of pressure should be on you.
You guys have been killing it. I mean, I'm a fan of this podcast first and foremost before anything else. So
well, that's nice to hear. Yeah, we should probably do our catch-up, Jacob. Horror in the year 2024, how has it been for you? What have you been watching? What's your number one so far?
Okay, so in true fashion, I have pretty much hated everything that everyone loves, and I just have strong opinions on everything.
Of course, yeah.
I think for me, so... It was already my favorite horror of the year before I even saw it, but that would be Cuckoo. And that's only because of how much I love the director's first movie.
There's no way. Okay, I saw Cuckoo. We haven't covered it for the show yet, but we most certainly will get around to it. You think Tillman Singer, you think he figured it out? Like, he developed his style so much in Cuckoo, and it was like 3 or 4 years between, maybe even more between that and Lose. But, it's a comedy, Jacob.
Well, I believe Cuckoo has been finished for 3 years at this point. It's been sitting in distribution hell for so long. I don't know why it took so long to finally come out. It was made, it was shelved, it was delayed. And, yeah, because I've been waiting for this for at least 2.5 years since I knew about it.
Yeah, it got announced a long time ago and had its premiere. I'm surprised that with someone like Neon that they wouldn't have snatched it up and put it out as soon as they had it, especially with the rising star of Hunter Schafer, so.
Yeah, and Dan Stevens.
And Dan Stevens.
Who doesn't love a good Dan Stevens?
Well, it's especially in that, he's weird as hell.
Yeah.
it's not your typical Dan Stevens feature. He really gets to kind of be a goofball gonzo weirdo who plays a recorder or a flute. I think it's a flute, right?
Yeah, it's something.
Yeah. I don't know. So it's not definitely not my favorite movie. I don't know why. There's something about I was watching Lose before it, and like Lose has some like dry humor, but there's something about Cuckoo that's just so bizarre and weird that I can't really figure it out. Maybe I need another watch. I don't know.
Tillman for me is 100% style over substance. I just love the look and feel of his movies. They're just
visually it's perfect, and he's like such a
that's
firm.
what I care about most. So.
Yeah, he's a director that like I wouldn't be surprised that his storyboard is just like a full graphic novel. Like he's that kind of guy. Do we know what Tillman's doing next?
I don't think so. I haven't seen or heard anything.
And maybe we'll see something in another 8 years. That seems about right.
Right.
Cuckoo Lose. Nope, nothing in the barrel here, ready to go. What else have you seen? Let's just let's get this out of the way. I got a phone call on our phone line. Let's see, find the right button here.
The Frightday phone lines are now open.
Not open yet.
Call 1-833-374-4489 now to share your paranormal encounters and real-life nightmares, or to talk horror with the hosts.
And someone just so happened to talk horror with the hosts. They left a voicemail. But yeah, once again, 1-833-374-4489. Put it in your phone. That's 1-833-FRIGHT9. Because, we're always willing to hear what you have to say. Just like this person.
Guys, oh my freaking God. Go see Strange Darling right now. Go in blind. Don't know anything. It doesn't matter if you know anything because the whole shit's insane and it was so freaking good, and like that's what a horror movie is. 10 out of 10 red jumpsuits. Love you. Bye.
Thanks. Love you too. 10 out of 10 red jumpsuits. That thing is a hoot. I don't know if you've seen Strange Darling. Have you heard anything about it?
Oh yeah, it's in my top 5 of the year so far.
Wait, so how you went to a theater to see it?
Yeah, I saw it in theaters. I did go into it pretty blind. I myself personally am a huge Willa Fitzgerald fan, so I saw that she was attached and just had to go see it.
See, I don't know much about Willa Fitzgerald. What has Willa been in?
She was in the MTV Scream series, which I am a huge apologist for. I loved that. I loved it.
That's wild. You can like that if you'd like. I think I saw the first season and it wasn't too bad. It appears that she's also in the TV series on USA Network called Royal Pains. But in Strange Darling, man, what like an incredible range. Like I don't like non-linear for the most part, but the way that they structured Strange Darling, and I'm not going to talk too much about it because I agree with the caller who didn't leave their name. Next time, leave your name so I can thank you. But yeah, I absolutely going blind. Like I know that there's been a lot of buzz surrounding this film and a lot of word of mouth, which is something that really kind of sets this one apart this year compared to everything else. But just a really, really cool film. Did you know Giovanni Ribisi was the director of photography on this?
I did. Oh, that's right. Yeah, because I saw it in theaters, there was a Q&A with afterwards. Not in my theater, but it was streamed.
It's like a video Q&A
after the credits.
Yeah.
It was in New York City, so I was only like an hour away from it. I just wasn't at the theater.
Wait,
no, it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, that was really cool. I don't know much about the director, but I do like Kyle Gallner. Is that how you say his name? Gallner, maybe?
Yes, my love for Willa Fitzgerald, my girlfriend has a love for Kyle Gallner that rivals that. So this was like a perfect movie for us to see together.
That dude is kind of having like a horror renaissance, like especially indie horror. I saw.
He's a cool dude.
It seems like it. I saw The Passenger, which is not necessarily like a horror film, but it's like it. That reminds me of
that was the one where. Never mind. I don't know how to say things without spoilers.
Oh, I mean, I think it's pretty clear.
You can't add in bleeps.
What's that? Oh yeah, I can't bleep live. I should get we should get like a dump button or something if someone spoils.
Soundboard, or just mute me so my mouth is moving and
that'd be sick. We'll get I'll turn on the wait music again. Perfect. No, I love that film. Like it reminded me so much of like a late 90s, early 2000s, like weird, like dark crime film, you know? Like,
okay, have you seen Dinner in America from 2020?
I haven't. I see that
I haven't either. It's him and Pat Healy's in it, and
I've seen the trailer for this. It's like a punk rock, like coming of age romantic comedy or something like that, like indie.
Yeah, Arrow Video just put a 4K disc out of it, but I have not gotten to it, and I would love to see. Or maybe it's just Blu-ray, but yeah, it just got a physical release, and I have been told I need to see that.
But I mean, I'm in like, I mean, he's been participating. Kyle has in like normal mainstream horror as well, like Smile and Scream. But man, like he's really shining in these like small indie like horror releases. And the fact that, I mean, I think you and I probably caught it. Do you have AMC now? I guess we should talk. You moved from Denver to Connecticut since we last spoke. Yep. What's the theater?
That is something I've done.
What's the theater vibe over there now? Like, because you kind of had your
AMCs.
Okay, yeah. So Dine-in.
Denver is like Denver is a hotspot for cinema. Like there is so many different movie theater chains. There are so many. There's an art house theater. There are Alamo Draft Houses. There's still one or two drive-in theaters, and they get anything and everything you can imagine. Obviously every like big, huge widescreen wide release to the smallest indie films that only play on like 30 theaters nationwide, and Denver will get one of them. Out here, it's a little bit of a mix. We do have AMC, so I still have my A-list, so I'm still seeing a lot of movies.
And that's probably where you saw Strange Darling, right? Because I think they had like a 2-week run, which I also caught in theaters, which was just delightful. Like, people who are there like actually give a shit about indie horror, which is so fun. But
it is very cool. Yeah, especially, have you ever caught one of the Scream Unseen?
I have been doing Scream Unseen. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't remember the one I saw most recently, but I've been doing both Scream Unseen and Screen Unseen if I have like a day off. It's kind of fun. I think
I only did it once, and it was that spider movie Sting.
Okay, yeah, I skipped that. I knew there's like you can go to Reddit and everyone kind of like uses run times to guess everything, but I skipped it because I had something else to do. Some others probably editing this fucking show, honestly. So thanks, guys. Didn't miss much. Okay, the one I saw was that
it's not the best spider movie of the year. I'll say that.
Interesting. What's the best spider movie of the year?
French film called Infested.
And that premiered on Shudder not too long ago, right?
Yeah, I saw that in Tell You Right.
What the fuck's going on with French? I know that tonight's film is Canadian, but it is in French. And
they speak French. Well, they speak a version of French.
Yeah. And then there's the other film that we were going to possibly cover tonight, which was it Humanist Vampire Seeking Suicidal Human? Or what was it? I can't...
It's something like that. Yeah, it did look good. It did look really good, and I can't wait to actually watch it at some point.
Yeah, that was a little bit more of a comedy compared to tonight's film. Yeah. But yeah, it's funny. The French language is kind of popping off this year. Who knew? And that's actually a tease for Behind the Screams tonight. I'm gonna see if you can list the top 10 French New Extremity horror films according to Ranker. That'll be fun. So we'll be doing that on Behind the Screams really quick after this. But yeah, Jacob, happy you've settled in. Glad you still have theater. Sorry you're not going to be going to Tell You Right Horror Show this year. That's a bummer.
Not this year, but hopefully the one after.
Yeah, that'll work. I think it's a good time for us to jump into a little segment called Staff Picks. How do you feel about that?
Good, let's go.
All right.
They say so much, but they never tell you if it's any good.
Werewolf movie with E.T.'s mom in it?
The Howling, horror straight ahead.
Picks that are by the staff. That's us. I think I heard a birdie told me that we both chose 2, so we should probably hustle, huh?
Little double features. Double features.
Yeah. I think both of these films that I want to talk about tonight, that I think that they are past staff picks, but it's been a while, so let's pretend like they're fresh. The first, and it would be so funny if we both picked the same ones. Who knows? What are the odds, Jacob? A Canadian mockumentary from 2013. Am I in your wheelhouse yet? I'm just checking.
Maybe.
No. It's called The Dirties.
Oh, okay. Oh, Matt Johnson.
That's right. 2 best friends are filming a comedy about getting revenge on the bullies at their high school, and one of them isn't joking. So you're right, Matt Johnson. It's the directorial debut. It's a found footage style that we don't really see very often. Super raw, funny until it isn't. And you're kind of given a lot of room at the front of this movie to fall in like with the characters. Because they're dumb, they're underdogs, and the charm of Matt Johnson is, surprising. That guy can really suck you in. Again, you root for them until you don't. But I guess it's how do we do this without spoiling? It's a school shooter themed found footage film. And it kicked off a wonderful career for Matt, who did Operation Avalanche in 2016, which I don't think we covered for the show. We talked about it a little bit. It's found footage.
One of my personal favorites.
Oh, so unique. It's based in 1967, surrounding NASA employees and the moon landing conspiracy. And then I don't believe this is found footage. I didn't see it, but it got kind of a bigger break. It's last year's film Blackberry. Was a Matt Johnson film as well.
Oh, so good. It's
good. I
didn't know it was Matt Johnson until I saw the visual style. Like he zooms in a lot, does a lot of handheld.
Yeah.
And within like the first 5 minutes, I'm like, this feels like a Matt Johnson movie. And then he shows up and he's actually an actor in it. I'm like, oh my God, there's no way.
Yeah. He is he has a distinctive style that even goes back to the Dirties, shooting with like almost like DV cameras with these like whip zooms and these like wild kind of manic energy that comes through. It's really cool. But this film, unbelievable. It's one of the physical releases that I missed out on. Do you remember how they released this, Jacob?
I don't know.
No, so every cover for the Dirties, I feel like it was a Kickstarter and then they did physical release, but they did like limited edition 100 of each cover, and they were all parody covers of like very popular films like Rosemary's Baby or Magnolia, with just like their faces on it with like the Dirties logo in those fonts. It was really cool. Like one of those that I should probably look up on eBay after we're done with the show.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing these right now.
Yeah, what were
Rosemary's
the films?
Baby, the third. Are these real?
They are.
I see a Pulp Fiction one.
Uh-huh. So, I think what really boosted Matt Johnson in this too was Kevin Smith found this film and I think helped distribute it. It's only kind of got Kevin Smithian energy in the sense that like they all love film, and they're Canadian, even though, Kevin Smith wishes he was Canadian, but there's something about it that like they love that era of indie film, which is, very prevalent in all of both Kevin and I guess Matt Johnson's work. So really cool film. But yeah, it's a great example of, someone buying into a delusion and going too far, which has a lot to do with like tonight's film that we're going to talk about in a little bit. My other film, though, I'm going to be really quick about this one. It's also found footage. It's a little bit more controversial, which is funny when you're talking about the less controversial film being a school shooting found footage film. And it's kind of possibly overrated. From 2011, it's Megan is Missing. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Directed by Michael Goy. So I think this guy, he doesn't do a lot of directing. He did a yacht ghost film called Mary in 2019, starring Gary Oldman and Emily Mortimer. I didn't see it. I think I was surprised that Gary Oldman was in an indie horror film that I got. I think they sent me the DVD, and I was like, that's not a good sign. Like, we're not like a great horror outlet if they're sending us a DVD of a Gary Oldman yacht ghost horror film. But Megan is missing, though. It revolves around two 14-year-old best friends, Megan and Amy. Megan is popular, but has like a troubled background, and she's a bit more risky than Amy, who's reserved and, quote, innocent. The girls' friendship is documented through webcam footage, text messages, and video diaries. But then Megan starts chatting with a guy named Josh, or is he? He also claims to be 17, but yeah, despite red flags, Megan agrees to meet him in person, but she disappears the morning after. And police get involved. It's a media frenzy, and Amy starts her own investigation. That's kind of where the found footage elements of this film pick up. She eventually confronts Josh online and leads to him threatening her and then her being abducted. I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it's the ending of the film that I think caused this to be such like a, like a torrent hit, I guess. Pretty unflinching. Have you seen this?
I have, yes.
It's not good. It's fine.
No. Yeah, no, I mean, I remember watching it and thinking, I don't know how I felt about that.
I think a good example of a film that had like similar buzz was like Poughkeepsie Tapes or something.
I was just about to say that, yeah. One of those like hard to find, like
word of mouth.
You kind of had to search. You had to search for it to watch it. You're not going to just stumble across it on Netflix or something. Like you had to actually put effort in to find it to then watch it.
Yeah, and I feel like Megan is Missing was kind of a film like that. But I don't know if it deserves it. I don't think it really holds up. But I'm gonna make it my staff pick, my reluctant part 2 of a staff pick, because there is some dark energy attached to that film that draws you in, and there's something to say for that. I don't know. How about you, Jacob? What are your staff picks?
So my first, my double feature is meant to be watched alongside the main film tonight. Not necessarily so much as a subject matter, but just kind of like a feeling, a vibe, and just style. So the first film I would pair with it is a 2018 Screen Life film. I didn't know that was a term. Screen Life.
Scream Life?
Screen Life, like when the whole movie takes place on a computer screen.
Oh,
like
I call it monitor horror. What is it? What do you call?
Well, I like that a lot more, but Wikipedia is telling me Screen Life is a official term.
That's bullshit. Fuck off with that.
Yeah.
Not your fault, but whoever came up with that is wrong.
But yes, it is a 2018 film called Profile.
I don't know this one.
Yeah, I don't think this really got much of a release. I saw it at the Denver Film Festival.
Okay.
But essentially, it's a thriller. And essentially, what happens is a journalist is basically trying to write a story about ISIS and the way they recruit, and she creates a fake Facebook profile, and gets contacted by someone in ISIS trying to recruit her. And through a bunch of twists and turns, she ends up like developing romantic feelings for this recruiter, and she goes to places she never thought she would go, and things just get really intense in Germany, like in a very, it makes you hold your breath. It's not necessarily scary, but it is very just nerve-wracking, and anxiety-inducing. The reason I pair it with this movie that we are talking about tonight is because of the scenes. It really reminded me of the scenes where she was kind of internet sleuthing on her own and like going through and discovering things like an address and email. Like it had a lot of those vibes, and it really reminded me of this movie Profile. And I instantly thought, wow, I don't know anyone else who's seen this movie. In fact, just to remember the title of it, I had to text my friend that I saw it with, because it's been so long. And since then, I knew it was a single word, and I knew it started with the letter P, but I couldn't think of it. And yeah, I found it, and I was like, yeah, this is it. And this was a cool movie. I really liked it. Yeah,
I've never heard of this, but this looks awesome. Like I'm watching the trailer as you talk about it. This looks incredible. And I want to put a pin in the idea that and we should definitely come back to this. So far, we have recommended 3 found footage films, and the film we watched tonight is not a found footage film at all.
It's not, no.
There might be a reason, though. There might be something about the film we're covering tonight, Red Rooms, that makes it feel like that. So let's think about that while you talk about your part 2 to this double feature. Oh, and it's the producer of Unfriended and Searching. That's interesting. So yeah, it's like this. Did you watch Missing?
It just never took off.
There was another one.
Yeah.
Missing and Searching. What was the first one was Missing. Second one was Searching.
Something. One was John Cho, or were they both John Cho?
No, John Cho was in the first one, and then I can't remember the name of the actor in the second, but I remember the second took like a really dark twist that I wasn't expecting at all. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh, that was with the girls whose parents were missing. She thought they were supposed to be on vacation, but she couldn't get a hold of them or something.
Yeah. And it seemed like almost fun PG-13 thriller until it really got heavy at the end. So
listen, I'm a huge fan of these type of films. I like the whole screen simulation thing.
I mean, it goes back to The Den, of course, you know.
Did you ever see, I think it's called The Collingswood Story?
No, I haven't. It's definitely on my list of found footage.
That's another one of these. It might be the OG, because it takes place in like the late 90s when things were still dial-up modems. And it was like, when I watched it, I couldn't tell if it was a modern movie made to look like older. But then I looked it up. I'm like, oh shit, it was actually made back then. Like they had AOL screens and they had like...
It was 2002. So that makes sense.
2002.
Yeah, I mean, no.
Yeah,
but
it was.
I think
it was sick.
Sense.
It was really cool.
I will. God, I actually probably did see this way back then, like probably during my Netflix DVD era.
Yeah, and now going back and watching it after this kind of mini genres had a little bit of a surge and has had multiple, theatrical releases. It's kind of fun to go back and watch this one again.
Yeah. Wow. All right. Do you have another found footage? I'm actually curious now.
Okay, so not really. I don't know how you can really... Okay, I'll just get right to it.
Yeah.
It is a 1985 Japanese film called Guinea Pig 2: Flower of Flesh and Blood.
I have it on my wall. I don't know where I could see it. I bought it from director Ted Gagan at his garage sale. So that's a gnarly movie, Jacob.
It makes sense.
Yes, I would actually say it does make sense. I don't know if we need to talk about it, right? Like,
no, we don't have to talk about it.
Yeah.
If you've heard of it, you know what it is. If you haven't, don't
look into that. You don't need that shit in your life. It's 42.
Kelly is going to never allow me to come on the show again just for talking about something.
Spoiler alert, she won't even listen to this. She doesn't even listen to the show. It doesn't matter. But we don't really often get the opportunity to talk about Guinea Pig or French Extremity, which we're talking about later. So this is a treat. Thanks, Jacob. And on that note, I guess let's jump into our review of tonight's feature film, Red Room.
Hail Satan! Hail Satan!
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Red Room. Oh, pardon me. Red Rooms, Multiple Rooms. It's a French-Canadian psychological thriller directed by Pascal. Did you listen to any interviews with this person? Plante?
I have not, no.
Plant with an E. It's Plante. Maybe. Gosh, I'm bad at this. Let's see. A high-profile case of a serial killer named, was it Ludovic? It's just gone to trial, and Kellyanne is obsessed, really obsessed. When reality blurs with her morbid fantasies, she goes down a dark path to seek the final piece of the puzzle, a missing video of a murdered 13-year-old girl, who Kellyanne bears a disturbing resemblance to. Now you all see why Kelly is not on the show. Great pick, Jacob. I'm glad we were able to do this. Pascal, the director, do you know much about him? Montreal-based filmmaker. Concordia University Mel Hoppenheim School of Cinema graduate. After he went there, he formed a production company called Nemesis Films, but he wasn't a director right away. He worked on a handful of films as a sound mixer and editor before directing his own films, which I think is what Josh Ethier did, the buddy direct, I guess, editing. Maybe he hasn't directed anything yet, but he works with Joe Begos a lot. A lot of these kind of folks who have a specialty in something like that eventually will get their shot to direct something. Turns out Pascal's really good. Not just in audio. Makes a good looking film as well.
Yeah, I'm curious to go back and check out some of these other films he's done that I'm looking at, even though they don't really seem to be in the same vein.
Exactly. Yeah, so this isn't his first film, but it's definitely his darkest. His first was a narrative feature in 2017 called Fake Tattoos, which does sound interesting. It competed at the Berlin International Film Festival in 2018. It's a drama about a young loner named Theo who meets and falls in love with a girl named Mag at a rock concert. But yeah, people seem to really like it. It's described as a understated and slyingly shifting tale of summertime romance, which, Jacob, I think people know at this point that you and I both like horror films as well as really, really kind of sappy, sweet, low budget, romantic, let's just stop there, films. Yeah.
I'm an emo kid.
Exactly. Yeah. We mumble and we enjoy it. It's fun. Other film, though, was called Nadia Butterfly, which kind of throws back to what he was maybe going to do if he wasn't a director, or I guess in the film industry, because he was a swimmer, like almost an Olympic style, like almost like Olympic level swimmer. Mm-hmm. What did it say? Competitive swimmer, reached the national trials level in Canada, swam for a university, UL, in Quebec, and yeah, he was, I guess he tried out for the Olympic team in 2008 in Beijing, but didn't qualify. And at 19, he decided to end his swimming career, and that is kind of what this film is loosely about. It focuses on a 23-year-old Olympic swimmer, I guess a what could have been type of situation, who decides to retire after the Olympics. So the film explores, life after competitive sports and the psychological journey of the character. And it was selected in 2020 at Cannes. And yeah, people really ate this one up. Very not a horror film at all. Not even dark.
No, not even.
So
I mean, unless you think about his own personal journey of not being good enough at swimming, so he had to make maybe it's horrific to him.
It's funny though, I read like a brief interview about it where he said that the switch from swimming to filmmaking was really easy. Like he just transferred his energy to a new passion. So turns out he didn't care or didn't want to talk about it. So I don't know. Then we got Red Rooms, which 23-day shoot in Montreal in the surrounding area. And beautiful set design. They built the courtroom in this film, which
man, that was the first thing I locked onto. I looked over at my girlfriend. I was like, "Wow, this courtroom is amazing looking."
And in my head, I do the joke. I'm like, they should have called this White Room because it's such like a stark and like modern, in kind of like Cronenbergian in a way, like in how like pristine it is, I guess, which is funny. I don't know if this is how courtrooms are in Canada, but that's how this one is. And it kind of represents the cold open is this, we're following the entrance of our lead, who we'll talk about in a second, into this area, but beautiful set design, unbelievable. They built it to look cool and also for efficiency, which kind of made those, I think, almost 10-15 minute long single shots like possible, the way they're able to almost like slowly float around the courtroom. And it was beautiful. It was wonderful. But yeah, world premiere took place at the Karlov International Film Festival, which I've never heard of, in the Crystal Globe competition, which I've also never heard of. But then it had its Canadian premiere at the opening night film at Fantasia International Film Festival in 2013, where it won Best Film, Best Screenplay, Best Score, and Best Performance, which is, spoiler alert, not a surprise to me. Pretty wonderful. I wonder if we should start at the top. Kellyanne, obsessed with this case, has a very strict daily routine that kind of, the way she enters the screen kind of sets the tone for who she is. She's a model, but she also, for some reason, is attending this serial killer's trial every day, waiting in line, sleeping outside. Yeah, it's really an interesting kind of grabbing story right off the bat, because you're like, why is this person doing this? Like, you know, it sets.
So there's a scene pretty early on, not pretty early on, but a scene that a character asks her, "Why are you sleeping outside instead of just waking up early?"
Yeah.
And you know what? They never answered that, and I had that same question.
I mean, I don't know if that's just like, we never see a line built up, and we never see like a backup of like getting in, you know, going through the metal detectors. So it is hard to determine like just how much of a media frenzy the serial killer case is. But I think it's implied that it's like a big deal, because I don't know, they're talking about it on a talk show that we'll get into in a little bit, and it seems to be like an online obsession. I don't know if this is like, there's something about this film that feels slightly surreal, and I don't know if it's just like the way Kellyanne is, or if it's an elevated kind of world, you know, if we're in like a world that is slightly more interested in this type of stuff. But I don't know if there was a serial killer case as prolific as what we're seeing on screen here, something like, if like, I don't know, Richard Ramirez wasn't a child killer who streamed stuff on the dark web, but like people were obsessed with that case, and serial killers like him and Ted Bundy, they all had groupies, and like Charles Manson, those people would show up at court and they would be interviewed by the media, you know. Maybe that's kind of what we're, I don't know, revisiting here. One of the things that Pascal talked about was that he became obsessed with these types of films and the idea of true crime and how far is too far during the pandemic, when he would like marathon films like this. He did a lot of thinking about that, and I don't think it's anything new that people are obsessed with true crime. I think we're actually kind of on the downward slope of that interest. I don't know what's causing that. I think real life horror has started to make people a little bit exhausted. Like, I mean, even if it's not
too much,
there's real life war, there's elections that are important. I think people are kind of tired of feeling bad all the time. I could also be projecting, but I don't know.
We just need more fiction. The real world sucks enough.
Yeah, but I mean, Kellyanne is just an interesting character right off the bat, because like, you know, beautiful person, but not really interested in the things that you would expect a person like her to be into. Like, she's living that dual monitor life when she's at home. She's like using a lot of DuckDuckGo search in this film, which is
she built her own AI system and personal assistant.
Yeah, I don't remember the name of it because it was French, so I didn't write it down.
It started with a G. It's like Geraldine or something, but
something
not
like
even.
That. Yeah, I mean, brilliant. You know, I saw a lot of stock numbers on one of her screens at a certain point. Does a lot of crypto, does a lot of online gambling, which is really interesting as well.
Yeah, big old poker player.
And there's no real explanation about why, I guess.
Just how she supplements her income, I guess. Model money and poker money
online. But you know, it's interesting. Those are all like she's not using her beauty to like make money on online poker, you know, and she's like not falling into these typical stereotypes of a person who would be doing the things that she does. I just think it's kind of an interesting juxtaposition, you know, like it's what makes her character so interesting is because like a lesser film would use her as like she's just a model who like you could go to like Starry Eyes. I don't think that Alex Esso's character in Starry Eyes ever had any like ambition beyond using her talent as an actor and her looks, you know, to make it big.
Right.
Kellyanne's
definitely a single vision.
Yeah, and Kellyanne is such a more complicated character. So, yeah. Yeah, doing a lot of research on a murdered child as well. And then, you know,
yeah, there's a lot of interest and obsession over such a strange topic. I mean, I get it. I think all of us here,
we've all been
listening,
there.
I mean, why else would we be listening to this podcast? Because half of it is true crime.
Yeah,
well, I wouldn't say half, but there's a good chunk, and you know, that's what got me into podcasting in general, which was obviously Serial. That I think that got a vast majority of Americans into the podcast format in general.
Did he do it? What do you think?
Oh no, he's innocent. Free Adnan.
I think he did it. I don't know why.
I didn't delve super deep into all the stuff online and on Reddit afterwards. So I'm just going based on Sarah Koenig's reporting.
I don't know, man. I just think that, I don't know. I think he's going back to jail, though, from what I heard.
Is he?
Yeah. But, I mean, she does, there are some interesting moments, though. So, like, she will be, like, going the murder of children, and then she, like, jumps up into, like, a YouTube dance workout in that one scene. And she, I mean, that's her thing. That's her release. That's her workout, you know?
Yeah.
But, yeah, it's her life. She goes home. She does those like simple things. Gamble, ask her AI who was not connected, like not recorded. She like found a way to like, because she has the like she's like, it's interesting because she's not like an anti-government like person,
right?
But there's something about her concern over her privacy that is
right. I mean, she spends most of her time on the dark web using Tor browsers.
Exactly. Yeah.
It's like an air-gapped AI. Like it's like she downloaded all this information, handpicked what she wanted it to keep and learn from, and then took it offline, and it's just like existing there.
It's really interesting, and that's, you know, I'm really drawn to that character because it's so unique, you know. And her behavior is weird as fuck. Like we said early, she does go out of her way, showing up, sleeping in the street to attend this trial, which, I mean, I don't know what she's looking for. She's looking for attention from this boxed looking Canadian version of Steve from Blue's Clues, who's just sitting there cross-legged in some khakis.
If there was I don't want to say shortcomings of the film, but if there was one big question mark, for me, it would be, what is her motivation? What is the reason behind her doing any of this? Which I don't really need that spelled out. I like the film a lot as is, but I'm just, the whole time I'm sitting there, I'm like, why is she doing this?
What does she want? Yeah.
Yeah. And at first, well, it's funny because we watched a trailer, and in the trailer, they mentioned the friend character, the semi-friend character, Clementine,
which we'll introduce her in a second.
Yeah. She asked, like, "Hey, what do you do for, you know, how do you afford this super nice apartment in the middle of the city?" And so at the very beginning of the movie, they talk about how when they raided this guy's home and computer, he didn't have a lot of money, and he didn't spend a lot in recent years. So my girlfriend was actually thought right away that she was in on it, and she was an accomplice, and that's where all the money from these videos are going to, is for her.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that actually would have been really cool, but it
instead
unfold that way.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but it's like, it's a little bit more ambiguous than that, which is kind of interesting. But this character, 3 counts of first-degree murder, abduction, confinement, sexual assault, causing bodily harm, committing an indignity to a corpse, and production and distribution of obscene materials. That's the charge. He he kidnapped 3 teenage girls, tortured them, and like, I don't know, really fucked up shit, like ripped their arms off, opened up their guts, slit their eyes with X-Acto blades, and did it all on the dark web for money. And then got rid of the bodies, but he did it in a mask. So a lot of the trial is about identifying him based on his physicalities and his eyes specifically. We don't really actually talk too much about the trial, because if you were just to watch the first 20 minutes of this film, you'd say this is just going to be a procedural, like Exorcism of Emily Rose or something like that, like where you spend a lot of time in a courtroom, Which is
honestly, I'm shocked that we had 4 staff picks and none of them were like 12 Angry Men or Anatomy of a Fall.
Yeah,
because I was kind of expecting that, and then we follow our main character home after the first day of trial, and I was like, oh, so it's not about the actual trial in the courtroom, it's just about her.
Yeah, and I think it's really easy to be sucked into the courtroom stuff because it was an uncut, like 15-20 minute monologue between multiple. I guess we get the whole defense and the whole prosecution opening statements, which is really cool. Like, in that sense, the way they were able to construct the courtroom the way they did, it is almost like a play, like, which was, I don't know, really, really unique. But like you said, we follow Kellyanne home. Like,
I was shocked that for a movie that started off with that, and that really this is not a fast-paced movie. This is not a movie full of action or even full of like plot.
Not much happens.
It moved along really quick. We paused the movie halfway through, and I thought we'd only been watching for maybe a half an hour, and I'm like, oh, we've been watching this for an hour 15. What? Yeah. How?
It's really funny because I get kind of panicky when I'm about 45 minutes into a movie and my notes are like 6 words. I'm like, there's really not that much to say about this. But I mean, it does flesh itself out. It just does it in such a graceful way. Like when we meet Clementine, who I call Canadian Lauren Ashley Carter. And and Kellyanne is kind of like an Alex Esso Jocelyn Donahue as well. Like very, very similar. So Clementine's an interesting person. She is more so like, a devoted follower of this person, but like similar to like a Charles Manson groupie or like a Richard Ramirez groupie, but we don't really know her direct connection to him. In a way, it's like the birth of like the internet version of those in-person fans,
Yeah, her character is definitely more of a generalized outline of a type of person that exists in the real world.
Yeah.
But it's kind of just like, okay, this is what could happen nowadays based on, the type of following that killers have had in the past. And I did think that was interesting, especially with how everything plays out nowadays online and on the internet, and with the 24-hour news cycle and just nonstop, the fact that she travels from very far away to come to this trial, and
by bus with very little money. She's eating meals at a house, like
cafeteria.
And she's like an eccentric.
Weird,
she's weird, and I mean, she is very quick to rant about his potential innocence, which, I mean, I don't know, not many of her points are very strong.
The first interview after the first day, and they're interviewing her outside the courtroom, I was sitting there thinking, like, why exactly does she feel this way? Like, what's her connection? Like, why? Because she is like 100% mind made up that he's innocent. I'm like, okay, is she related to him? Is she
have a relationship?
Like, does she know him? Yeah, does she know him personally? Like, is she an alibi? Like, was she with him when all of this was supposed to have taken place?
Is there like a forum where these people collect or something, like, and talk about theories?
No.
I love one of her theories. One of her theories was they said, yeah, but they found her blood on the school uniform in his house or something like that. And she's like, well, she could have had her period or something. She was so quick to come up with these bizarre explanations for this very clear violent act that happened to these young girls. And I don't know. Yeah, as her and Kellyanne, their friendship kind of blossoms because they're the two on screen that have this interest. We still don't know how many people are lining up to get into this court. Maybe it isn't anyone, Jacob. That's kind of an interesting point. If we go back to the question of someone asking, why are you showing up so early? Maybe there is no reason that they're showing up early. Maybe they have this worry that other people are going to show up, but no one is. I don't really know.
Well, the whole time, we don't really know Kellyanne's perspective or what she feels about it.
Yeah.
Because even during her entire pseudo-friendship with Clementine's constantly talking about how he's innocent, about how she's coming to show her support. But Kellyanne never reciprocates that and just kind of nods along and doesn't add her own thoughts or opinions. So
she'll add context, I think, but she will not add her opinion about anything.
Right. She's purely just watching and observing, and even us as an audience aren't sure where she falls and how she feels.
Yeah. I mean, and even so they're eating pizza one night at the Kellyanne's amazing high-rise apartment complex, pizza, champagne, and then this chat show is on in the background called More Catholic Than the Pope. And it's a panel show where they're discussing, with the panel as well as the audience, the case. And Clem gets so offended that they're discussing this as if it's a done deal, as if the guy did it. So she calls in and kind of embarrasses herself a little bit by staggering through one of her rants in an attempt to defend him. And I don't know, that's kind of where the cracks really happen for her as a character. Not entirely, but because I guess, was it the next day that we don't know exactly how many days the trial is going, but this specific day in court, they decided that the jury and the family who chose to participate would watch the murder videos, the snuff films, in their entirety, which is one was 27 minutes and one was 30 some minutes long.
It's long.
But no one else could watch it, not the attendees of the trial. So this is where you see kind of, I don't know, the friendship breaking apart a little bit, because Clem is intrigued. She wants to watch the video. She's pissed off that they're asking them to leave, and she tries listening through the door because she wants to hear the voice of the girl. I don't know.
Yeah, she was definitely just like me in middle school going to rotten.com or looking up Faces of Death. She has a super morbid curiosity on death and murder.
We've all been there.
Kind of clueless and kind of very naive about how the other people around her are reacting to that situation.
Yeah.
What it looks like on her to be that desperate to see what's happening.
Yeah, I mean, her empathy towards the mother of one of the murdered children is just she's blind to any sort of actual real life pain that this mom's experiencing. I think she gives a statement at a certain point and then leaves after, 30 seconds of watching this film of her daughter being violently murdered, which at this point, I think we're about an hour deep into the film. There has been no graphic violence shown in this film, even until we get just a touch in just a minute. But there's something about this that weighs, it's thick in the air, just how grim this film is, even without showing it on screen. It is such a heavy film. And when the mom leaves the courtroom and then an EMT goes in because one of the people inside passed out because of watching this horrific violence, you feel it. I was fully connected to this experience, and watching Clem's curiosity, like you said, a middle schooler at rotten.com. Yeah, it's really interesting. But Kellyanne's especially her reaction is almost nonchalant, but still serious because she has already seen the videos, because she knew where to look. She's a tour girly. So I guess this is when she offers to show Clem the videos and they return to her apartment.
Yeah, Clementine is very insistent that she really wants to watch these, even though Kellyanne tries to, be like, "Are you sure it's really rough? It's really hard. You don't really want to see these?" But Clementine is really gung ho. Like,
what you have to remember, she keeps using the excuse of like, I want to watch this because I want to know what someone else did to these girls. Like, she fully doesn't believe that the person on trial did it. I think she wants to see the eyes, right? Like, she wants to see them for herself. But
right.
So this is an incredible shot where the two girls are watching these videos in a dark apartment, and we don't really
Give me some World's Fair vibes of that.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, that's interesting. Oh,
the
man.
lighting, the view of, you are the computer screen looking at the people looking back at you. It was,
That's genius. Yeah, that's such a good way to show, like, I don't know, they're looking at you as if you're the atrocity, which is kind of wild. Like, it's definitely a unique position.
And just the lighting in those shots were really cool. Seeing the different colors bounce off the face of the computer screen.
Yeah. And this is a huge turning point in their brief relationship. It kind of becomes too real for Clem. They, after this, go to get their spot in the alley of the courthouse to, lay down for the night. And Clem is like, yeah, I think I'm going to go home. I'm going to go to the bus station. I'm sorry. And she also, before she leaves, asks the question that I think we're all asking: why are you here? And then she backs out of that really quickly. She doesn't follow up, which was, I don't know, kind of interesting, because that is the big question. Why is Kellyanne still there? I don't know. Yeah, court is more Tor browser talk, dark web talk, and I think that they handled this subject matter in a really interesting way, like much better than something like Unfriended Dark Web that almost makes it a novelty. They discuss Tor browsers and dark web in a way that isn't so much an exposition dump, but in a way that, like, you recognize that they have an understanding of the subject material, which is kind of fun.
Yeah.
And this is kind of the descent into whatever Kellyanne is. She's loading up on Bitcoin, and she's hanging in like a what kind of chat room would you call this? In my head, I jumped to ICQ, but that's not it. It's like one of those just like plain text chat rooms on Tor.
It's like 4chan or something.
Yeah, it's not a fun place to be, but yeah, she is trying to locate the third tape of the third victim, the one that they say resembles her, but I guess there's no true confirmation of that. I guess we never really see. We saw a picture of the girl at the beginning, but I don't know if it looked much like Kellyanne, if I'm honest. But
yeah, it's hard to compare. What I think this character was supposed to be 13 years old, and Kellyanne Conway is a gorgeous model with dark hair. So
love it. Yeah, but this is where shit goes full wild. I'm kind of jumping through this a little bit, but yeah, Kellyanne decides to put on a blonde wig and blue contacts and a school uniform and a retainer, which she, I guess, put in her pocket on her way in at the courtroom, and she takes her coat off and she's wearing the school uniform and is just sitting there like blankly, almost like a Joel Petrakis style film. Like, it was like really weird and
it was very weird. And the reaction of the deceased girl's parents seeing her do that was heavy. That was a struggle to witness.
This is like, I think, probably my favorite scene in this movie, because it's I think it's the most horrific moment, but it's not horrific in a sense of like we're seeing something grisly. We're just seeing someone do something really, really unhinged and like, horrifying, like dressing up like the deceased daughter of a serial killer victim in front of her parents in court. Like, it's wild.
And the killer himself. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
It's pretty fucked up.
And this is kind of the explanation. I think this answers the question of why she's doing it, but only to a certain point, because she finally gets a reaction from the serial killer who throughout this entire trial so far has just kind of been staring blankly down in a relaxed position. He looks up at her.
That actor is fucking creepy. As soon as he was introduced, I'm like, oh my God, who is this guy? Because he was cast perfectly for this role. Like, he gives me the heebie-jeebies just as soon as he's on screen.
Maxwell McCabe Locos. He plays the serial killer, and he is the writer-director.
More villain roles, please.
Oh, he's a writer-director for the most part. He directed a comedy called Stanleyville, which I've never seen, but and I don't even think he says a word in this film, but unbelievable. So scary. He does a smile and then this like rolling finger wave towards her, which I mean, I think if you're on trial for a serial murder, maybe don't do the creepy wave. That kind of is like, yeah, you're guilty then, I guess. Like, but I don't know. On top of that, in this moment, and I could see why they got best soundtrack at Fantasia, there's this like distorted screaming that happens with this orchestra underneath it. It was such a cool moment. Like, it gives you chills. It's an unbelievable scene. Her transformation into Camille Boulou, some French thing. I don't fucking know. I took French for 3 years in high school. I should be better at this, but yeah, unbelievable. So cool. And man, we've been talking long enough. I don't know how much we want to spoil about Camille's sad night and the dark web bidding that our lead Kellyanne does later, and what exactly the implications of that are. What's the ending? What's the result? I think we should leave that up to the viewers, right?
Yeah, I agree.
Is there any other scenes that you would want to talk about?
Nothing that pops into my head right away now.
I mean, I think it's really interesting that she... Well, yeah, how about let's do this. Let's go to highs and lows, as above, so below. This is where we talk about the high points and the low points. Low points for me, it's really hard to... hard to think of something. It's pretty clear that I obviously ate this up, but maybe Clem just is like a grating character, but that's like her point. I don't know. Not a fully fleshed out character, but that is that type of person, someone who would cross country to be at a murder trial isn't going to be like the most developed person. So I don't know. Maybe I just didn't like them very much, but I loved Kellyanne's character. Like, there's something about, a model who is online gambling to make enough crypto to purchase a snuff film on the dark web. That is just...
It's a very unique character, very original creation there.
And it could have went so wrong. It could have been played up so well. It could have been like a lesser actor would have done this character so wrong. But there's something about this performance that is so gentle and real and disturbing. I loved it. I thought she did an incredible job. How about you? What's your low?
I mean, not necessarily a hard low for me personally, but I can see the ambiguity and of Kellyanne's intentions and why she's doing what she's doing. I could see some people having an issue with that. I like open-ended stuff, not necessarily open-ended, but things that aren't wrapped up neatly and aren't explained fully to every minute detail. So, but it would have been, I wouldn't have liked it any more or less if we did get more, kind of explanation into that. But I could see that rubbing some people the wrong way.
Yeah. What's your favorite part? What's your...
I mean, now that you mention it, the score there's multiple instances where
Totally.
I could feel myself being a little more on edge because of the just like kind of pulsating, just like it's not in your face, it's not overdone, it's really not something I'd ever listen to on its own, but in combination with what you're seeing on the screen at the times, it really just kind of sinks into you and hits you.
Like even I think the first time that she's turning on the YouTube dance video, and we're getting these are like zoomed in face shots with like the computer in the background, and the music just like is like rolling in, and it's so aggressive and kind of like in your face at certain moments that contrasts like with how, I don't know, gliding and like beautifully framed this is. It's really, really effective. Like,
right, and we didn't really get too much into it, but there is a point where Kellyanne starts to become a little paranoid and starts to think people are onto her and are out to get her in a sense. And the music really, the musical cues and the score really kind of help the viewers get into that same headspace of just anxiety, kind of confusion and uncertainty, and it just kind of brings you into her world and her mind.
Which is an interesting place. Yeah, and I think that rolls into my final thoughts. Yeah, beautifully shot film that is just grim without showing much at all. Like, I think the most we see is a man setting down a bloody saw blade in a red room, like from a distance and not in sharp focus. Like, but the thing that really stands out is it's paired with like just a beautiful person with such a unique, deep, macabre obsession that takes over her life in a way that, again, could have been so heavy-handed in the wrong hands. But this is just like, I get it. And at the same time, I'm also confused. But like her character, I think there's a level of empathy and concern that you have for her. I don't know where that comes from, because like she doesn't do anything to really prove herself to be like a good person necessarily. But there's something about her that you, I don't know, not trust, but you care for this person. And I think that to take such a unique character and like fucking nail it, you know, like it's wonderful. I hope that Pascal or Kel sticks around here for a little bit, because his perspective on true crime and its effect on, you know, people who pay attention to it is really, really dialed in and really unique. I love this movie, and for all of those reasons, I gotta give Red Rooms. This is the first 9. Let's go 9.1 of the year for me. And I'm giving it 9.1 Bitcoin, which, how much is that worth? 9.1 Bitcoin in USD right now. We need this. This is important. Is worth $62,127.60. How about you? Final thoughts, Jacob?
Yeah, no, I also really enjoyed this. Wasn't quite sure what to expect going into it. And I got more out of it than I was expecting and hoping for. I wouldn't say it's necessarily scary or
even
the
horror.
Most exciting, or even horror.
I don't know how we got away with this one, but
it is a very well made movie that is gripping, and it fills you with feelings one way or another. And yeah, it's a really great vision, and I will definitely be checking out anything else he makes going forward.
Yeah.
So I would probably have to give this a conservative 7.9 cups of coffee with unwanted sugar.
There we go. And those are our thoughts on Red Rooms, which I believe... Oh my gosh. I actually need to look up how this is going to be available to everyone. Thank you so much to Utopia for letting us watch this screener.
If it's Utopia, I know they were at one point a partner label with Vinegar Syndrome.
They sure are, so we might be getting a beautiful physical release.
Yeah, it most likely will.
Yep, we are opening on 50 screens on on September 6th, so I imagine we're going to be getting a VOD release. I don't know. We don't even call it VOD anymore. I'm so fucking old. It's a digital release.
Digital release.
Yeah. Soon, yeah. So if you're in New York, LA, Chicago, Austin, Portland, Phoenix, Houston, San Diego, or Las Vegas, it is still in theaters. It's going to be in Montgomery, Alabama, October 11th through the 14th. Albuquerque opening on the 27th. Brooklyn's rocking it from the 20th to the 25th at Syndicated. SIF, ooh, that's a great theater. SIF Cinema Uptown in Seattle opens on the 20th. So this weekend, I imagine we're getting a digital release really soon. And, we'll be talking about it at frightday.com. But those are our thoughts on the film. Once you see it, let us know what you think. You could give us a call, 1-833-FRIGHT9, 1-833-374-4489. I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. I think I'm really curious to know what people's thoughts are about true crime. So that might be the question this week. Give us a call. Let us know. Has it gone too far? I remember in the darkest days of that being like, the big new hot thing, I would get the question, what's your favorite serial killer? And I think that was when I started being like, oh no, this is going very wrong. Whatever this is, and how I participate in it needs to change. So I'd be curious to know what everyone's thoughts are about true crime in general. Is it going to create monsters like this? Is it going to create more monsters in general? Or do you think it's fine, just fun entertainment? Give us a call, 1-833-FRIGHT9. But that is Fright Day for today. Jacob, is there anywhere you would want to point people? I know you have a Letterboxd. That's always a fun place.
Just looking up on Letterboxd. What is this? That's just I think it's just my name, Jacob Seaver.
Yeah. And
I've been slacking the past month or so of logging things, but
I think that's my favorite and pretty much only active social media, the one that I have the most fun on. So yeah, Byron McCoy there as well. But that's Fright Day for this week. If you want more, though, head on over to the frightdaysociety.org. That is where you can get a little bit more with Behind the Screams, which is the show behind the show, the after show, where Jacob is going to be, I'm going to test him. I'm going to see if Jacob, who's one of the only people in my life that actually cares about French New Wave extremity films, if he can give me the top 10 French New Wave extremity films according to Ranker. We're doing a bit of a Hive Mind ripoff, but yeah, that'll be fun. TheFrightDaySociety.org. That's where the show continues. You can follow us on YouTube. That is youtube.com/Frightday to watch the video version of this show. At Frightday on Twitter and Instagram. Discord.frightday.com. Jacob's there too. You can go say hi to him there. Or Facebook.com/Frightday. But yeah, until next Friday, Jacob, thanks for hopping on the show. We'll have to have you on more often when Kelly's here too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Stay scared, everyone. See ya.
Bye.
You've been listening to an Audio Wool original, produced by Byron McCoy. Theme music is provided by Yawns. For more programs like this, visit audiowool.co.